All right. Today we're diving into a story that feels like it's straight out of a detective novel. But this isn't fiction. This is real science, and it's rewriting the very first chapters of the human story. We're on the hunt for a ghost population, a group of ancient relatives who left behind some very mysterious clues. This is the case of the missing Toolmakers.
So let's just jump right into the big question that this whole thing hangs on. Picture an island, totally cut off from the world by deep, dangerous seas. Now, we know our species, Homo sapiens, we got there around 65,000 years ago. But what if I told you someone else was already there, 1,000,000 years before we were? Who were they? And how on earth did they get there?
Our story really kicks off on the Indonesian island of Sulawesi. Between 2019 and 2022, a team of archaeologists found something so big that its impact is completely rewriting what we thought we knew about human history.
Now you might be thinking, okay, what did they find? A lost city, a pirate's treasure? Nope, not even close. What they found was just 7 stone artifacts. A handful of simple, sharp-edged flakes of rock. But you know, sometimes the biggest secrets are hiding in the plainest-looking things.
Okay, so let's get into the specifics of this find, because this is where things get absolutely wild. The tools themselves were made using a technique called percussion flaking, and it's actually one of the oldest technologies on the planet. You literally just take one rock, a hammerstone, and you smack another rock, the core, to chip off these super sharp flakes. Simple but incredibly useful for stuff like butchering animals. One of the tools they found was even retouched, its edges trimmed to make it even sharper. That shows some real skill in plant.
And this is the bombshell. After they dated all the sediment and fossils around the tools, they figured out their age. These tools are at least 1,000,000 years old and could be as old as 1.5 million years. Yeah, let that sink in for a second.
To really get how huge this is, you gotta know what the old record was. Before this, the oldest tools they'd ever found on Sulawesi were about 194,000 years old. This new discovery, it pushes that date back by more than 1,000,000 years. That's not a small tweak. That's like tearing up the whole history book and starting over.
And you can bet this doesn't just change the story of one island. Oh no, this sends shockwaves through the entire human timeline.
Just look at this timeline, because it really puts it all in perspective. Way, way back, up to 1.5 million years ago, our mystery toolmakers are already on Sulawesi. Meanwhile, where are we? Homo sapiens? We don't even exist yet. We won't evolve in Africa for another 1.2 million years. And then we don't even make it to Sulawesi until just 65,000 years ago. That gap in time is just, it's almost impossible to wrap your head around.
So it's pretty clear, right? It wasn't us. But if it wasn't Homo sapiens, who was it? And maybe even more baffling, how in the world did they get there in the first place? To answer the how, we have to talk about geography. And believe me, this isn't just a walk in the park. It's a real puzzle.
See, Sulawesi is the biggest island in this really unique part of the world called Wallacea. And here's the kicker. These islands have always been islands. Because of deep ocean trenches, they've never, ever been connected by land bridges to Asia or Australia. Even when ice ages dropped sea levels way down, there was always a massive, dangerous stretch of open ocean. You couldn't walk there. You had to cross the water.
So did they build boats? I mean, 1.5 million years ago? The lead researcher on this, Adam Brum, he's pretty clear. It's highly unlikely. Building a boat that can survive the open ocean takes some serious brain power, advanced planning, maybe even language, skills these early humans almost certainly didn't have. So if they didn't sail, what happened?
Well, the leading theory is way more accidental and, frankly, way more terrifying. Picture this. A massive tsunami or a monster storm hits the coast. It rips up a huge chunk of the shoreline, trees, dirt, everything, and just washes it out to sea. And swept up in all that chaos is a small, unlucky group of hominins. Suddenly, they're on this giant, natural raft, drifting for who knows how long. And then, by some incredible stroke of luck, they wash up on the shores of Sulawesi. It's a total long shot for sure, but over thousands of years, it only has to work once.
Okay, so we've got a plausible how. Now for the who. Let's line up the prime suspects, shall we?
First up, we have our prime suspect, Homo erectus. You can think of these guys as the original world travelers of the human family. They were the first to leave Africa and spread all across Asia.
And here's the crucial clue. We know for a fact they made it to the nearby island of Java about 1.6 million years ago. The timeline? It's a perfect match. They were in the neighborhood at exactly the right time. But there's another possibility, a more mysterious one. What if it was the ancestor of Homo floresiensis? You probably know them as the Hobbits, found on the island of Flores right nearby. For years, scientists have wondered how the Hobbits got to Flores, and some have guessed that Sulawesi was a kind of stepping stone. If that's true, this discovery could be the smoking gun they've been searching for.
And speaking of finds on Flores, you gotta love this little story from the lead researcher Adam Brum. Years ago, he was part of the team that found some of the first evidence for the Hobbits' ancestors, and he admits he made the discovery while nursing an appalling hangover. It's a funny and very human reminder that these history-changing moments can pop up when you least expect them.
So this find doesn't just close a case, it blows open a dozen new ones. It fundamentally changes the questions we even need to be asking about human evolution in this part of the world.
And this is why Sulawesi is so exciting. As Adam Brum puts it, it's a wild card. It's like a mini continent. Just think about it. It's more than 12 times bigger than Flores, where the Hobbits lived. It's this massive, isolated laboratory for evolution just waiting to be explored. And that leads us to this incredible, tantalizing question. What happens when you take an ancient human population, you strand them on a huge island rich with resources, and you just leave them alone for 1 million years? On tiny Flores, it seems they shrank and became hobbits, but on a vast island like Sulawesi, would they shrink, grow bigger, evolve into something else entirely?
So we're left with this whole new set of mysteries. We still don't know for sure who they were. We don't know what they became, and we have no idea what happened when our species, Homo sapiens, finally showed up 65,000 years ago. Did they meet? Were the original toolmakers already gone? The only way to find out is to find the fossils. And you can bet the hunt for the bones of Sulawesi's missing toolmakers is officially on.
So what's your theory? Who do you think it was? Homo erectus? The Hobbit's long-lost cousin? Or something we haven't even dreamed of yet? Drop your ideas in the comments below. We'd love to hear them. And hey, if you dug this journey into our deep past, do us a favor and hit that like button. Subscribe for more explainers like this, and share it with a friend who loves a good mystery. Thanks for joining us.